morning, everyone. And welcome to a cup of tea.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. We're sorry.
No, that's not it. Okay, I will show you. This is it. Hi, everyone. I'm the pine.
And I'm the water. And welcome to a cup of tea.
There you go. A new podcast. I don't remember what it is.
A podcast about
looking at life,
exploring life through each other's eyes.
And sharing while we share a cup of tea with you?
Yes, we're sharing a cup of tea with you.
Okay, are we starting over?
No, I want to keep this.
Okay, sure. They will see the process.
Yeah.
And appreciate it.
Oh, please be sympathetic. Please be nice.
Isn't it empathetic?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because Pablo also says that, and every time he says that, I'm like,
I think it's empathetic.
Empathetic.
I don't know.
Empathy.
Maybe we should look it up. I know. Maybe it's one of those.
Because sympathy is a different thing.
Acorns. Is it acorns? You know those things that, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
So there's this thing that happens when in language you have like an idiom, you know, or some phrase that you say, and if people mishear it and then they repeat it, misheard, it becomes a thing. So
like what?
I think there's this guy, I love his videos, and he's on, I think it's on Wired. Then he has several, and he talks about them. And I think one of them is like, Jesus, I can't think of one right now. Let me see if I can find one. But yeah, they're like phrases that you have in daily life, and that corn.
I mean, I don't know that it applies because we're just talking about, you know, two different concepts of like empathy and sympathy.
I know, but it's see, 14 acorns that will make you laugh.
Like what? I mean, in the meantime, I can tell everybody that today's tea is sponsored by the water again, because we all do this at our house. And we're drinking green tea, mint green tea, which again gives me a little bit of PTSD about mint chip, because I don't like mint chip.
Just embrace it.
No, there's no way.
We can start a debate on whether people like mint chip or not.
I am intrigued. Please, let's vote. But anyways,
mint chip.
Ew. Anyways, mine is a sort of concoction because I wanted something frappy, but apparently the water had never tried to do frapp. It's not frappy, but it's milky and it's green tea and it's actually very nice. And yours is just green tea.
It is really good though.
Cold.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, I'm really liking it. Like, I'm very happy about this.
Cool. I'm glad. And I found an acorn that I think is very appropriate for you.
For me.
It's like, you know, there's the social leper thing. Well, apparently some people think that it's a social leopard. Yeah.
No. That's funny.
Yeah. So see, and there's like a feeble position instead of fetal position, or curb your hunger, like CURB. People think it's like CURVE, like a curve. Yeah. Which I think is funny because curve and curb sound different, but anyway.
Oh my god, there was this
the most popular one I think is for all intensive purposes. Instead of for all intents and purposes.
I see.
You know? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now I like them. But I was just going to say, because you reminded me of this thing. There's a post that I saw of like the language nerds or something saying that your lips don't touch until, what is it? A certain number.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh my god.
Wait. But the thing is that, so I posted it and I thought like it was really cool.
Yeah.
And then there's guy, I think, is he from the tech? No, he was from my college school. And he posted a comment and he's like, that's not true. You do it at 11. And I was like,
What?
No, you don't. It's 11. Your lips aren't touching. He's like, no, they do.
Like
And I'm
11?
Yeah.
What?
And I'm like, no.
Oh my god.
Because in English, you pronounce different the V's and the B's.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I know this teacher from wherever, and she says that you can do it both ways. And I'm like, well, in that case, you would touch your lips in number 7, not 11. And I was like, no. Bye.
Oh, that's hilarious.
No. What was the number? Did you get to it?
No, I didn't. I stopped counting on 20 something.
30, 40.
21 to 30.
Because from 1
50,
to 9.
60, 70, 80, 90, 100?
No, I feel like it was before that.
80.
I don't want to waste time doing it.
I know, me neither. No, let's just stop.
Okay, we'll figure it out later and let you know.
Yes.
But I'm so curious now.
Me too. So, finally, today we're talking about...
Exactly, yeah.
I said getting back on the horse.
All right.
You said that can mean many things. And I guess it can mean many things. Like, I guess it depends on your horse.
I like that. Yeah, but okay, so then we had a very specific horse that you wanted to talk about.
Right, so this is our second episode of A Cup of Tea. It is.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we have all these things that, like, of course, you and I know about each other, but I think there's stuff that we need to talk about.
Context?
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know how familiar people might be with Irish dancing. I think some people.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's not a very popular thing. I read this morning that it was like a niche thing. I do think it is a niche thing. I don't think it's very popular.
But are you talking like Mexico-wise or
like world-wise? I mean, really? I do. For example, I do think it has become a lot more popular during the pandemic because of TikTok. Because there are a bunch of really popular TikTokers, dancers.
What?
Like there's two brothers called the Gardner brothers who are amazing. I love them. They're super cool.
Shout out.
Yes, shout out to the Gardner brothers. And they are super popular. And then I remember I don't remember her name. Mary, I think. I don't know. She started doing a lot of like steps. And she got into I don't know if it was a filter or something, but where people were like setting their upper bodies on her legs.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so that was funny. So it has become more of a popular thing, but I don't think it's that famous either.
I mean, if you think about which other kind of dance, like hip hop?
I mean, my other reference is probably ballet, but you know, I mean, that's like
I see what you're saying.
Irish dancing.
Like it's very normal for like little girls to be ballet, but not necessarily Irish.
Yeah. Which I guess it's kind of, you know, I guess the same thing happens with flamenco or hip hop or belly dancing or I don't know, other types of dancing. I think I do like jazz is a lot more popular, for example.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So Irish dancing. And because of the pandemic, I stopped going to class like many other people, right?
Right.
I stopped going to class, but I still had class and I was still teaching at the beginning of the pandemic.
Like online?
Yeah, like online. It was terrible. Like I think being a Zoom teacher honestly is terrible. I don't know how all those teachers in the world have been doing it.
I guess they don't have a choice, you know. Adapt.
Yeah.
Survive.
It is. Oh my god. So basically, long story short, is that I was dancing and everything was going well. And then around September, October actually, I fell and I sprained my hip and I tore it's called MCL, like the medial collateral ligament. It's the I think it's a tendon or a ligament that attaches your like quad muscle to your knee in here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it completely tore from my knee. It was awful.
That sounds so scary.
I know, but my doctor was very graphic in that he was like, you know how those like football players that get to like, or I mean soccer players, you know, I guess.
Sure.
That they sometimes receive like kicks from other people and their knee like flies outwards. It's like that. And I was like, Jesus, that sounds insane.
Wait. So like, how did you do it?
I just fell in the shower, which was the stupidest thing. I wasn't even dancing. It's very anticlimactic, I know.
A little. Yes.
Yeah. And so I was on crutches for a month or something.
That is insane.
And it took me a very long time to recover.
I remember you telling me about it, and you were very scared.
Yeah, I was seriously scared of not being able to dance again because first, the knee was the most painful thing at first, and because if anybody in the audience does ballet or knows anything about dance, I couldn't do like a tendu, and so I was trying to like lift my leg, and I couldn't hold it up. Like, I don't know if it's visible on the camera, but I couldn't hold it up like this,
kind of.
Right? And it scared me because I don't think I had ever been in so much pain, like sharp pain like that.
Oh.
It was really bad. I couldn't lift my leg. Like, I could probably do this. And I had to go sideways so that I could, like, lift it up properly. And then my hip also hurt, but it was like, I guess it's whatever. And I went to the doctor, and he was like, you know, okay, this is big. Like, you have to take care of this. And it'll take about 3 months. Maybe a little more, depending on how well you do. And so I kept coming back to see him. Like, the first month, he was like, you're doing great. I think I might discharge you in just 2 months rather than 3. I was like, awesome. And then, during the second month, I was like, I'm pretty much discharged. I can do whatever I want, which of course was not the case. So to anybody out there who might be injured, please don't be stupid like I was. Please don't. So one day I think I was doing yoga because I was like, I can start stretching. I can start doing more stuff. I still couldn't jump, but I could like at least sort of like walk through my steps. And so I was stretching, I was doing yoga, and I heard something snap. And it was my hip, and then my doctor was like, no, why did you do that? That was not, you should not have done that because of the...
so did they not tell you that you could do yoga? You just decided you could do yoga?
Okay, so they didn't explicitly say you can't do yoga. And the instruction at the time was you can start stretching. Because I had been first the recovery journey was build up your strength, like regain mobility, build up strength, then flexibility. And so we had gone over the strength portion of the rehab thing. And so now we were on to stretching and flexibility. And so I thought it was like, oh, whatever, I can just do yoga.
Did they not give you specific exercises that you were supposed to do?
Yeah, they did. And I did them. But I had to do like glute bridges. And so my butt was cramping basically, which is why I did the like pigeon pose. Yeah. And that's where my hip snapped.
I mean, pigeon pose is like a little, rough.
But I was like, whatever, it's fine.
And which then it wasn't.
So then I went to the doctor. I had to get another MRI. I had 3 more months of therapy. And then I finally started like low-key dancing again with my teacher, who at the time was, because she's from Canada. So she went back to Canada with her kids to basically just wait the pandemic out there.
Right.
So she basically, I was having private lessons with her in the mornings. It was pretty cool. And we were taking it very slowly, like very much at my pace to see how much I could do, and because I couldn't jump that much, and I was getting tired quickly. And while this happened around December or something.
So this is December 2020?
This is, around December 2020. Well, no, I started dancing after December because she went to Canada around in January, I think.
Okay.
So around December, she calls me and she's like, so I'm going to go to Canada. And I was like, forever? And she said, no, it's just probably for 6 months or something so that my kids can go to school. Because here they're just like at home, they're doing nothing and, you know. And so I'm thinking about joining forces with this other school.
Right.
Like, because we like here, there were basically our school and then this other was school. And there's a couple more people that teach and have studios, but like I would say the bigger ones are ours. And so I was like, what? Because I mean, I like there's a teacher. I think it's kind of funny that it's very similar in which I think I'm my teacher's oldest student, and I'm not the oldest student that she has, but I'm the one that's been with her the longest.
Right.
So, in the same way, there's the other teacher from the other school has a guy that has been her student the longest as well. And so they make a team and they like own the school together. And so she told me about this and I was like, well, I mean, I guess it's a good thing so that people can actually go to a studio because our studio is in a school, so we can't go in there because it's closed.
Okay.
So I guess it's a good option for people to just not spend the next 6 months still dancing in their living rooms, you know? And so she did that.
So they joined.
So we joined schools. People started going to this other class with, at first I was very uncomfortable with, like, I felt like I got replaced because I was teaching and then she was like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. With the classes that you're teaching, there's this other guy that is gonna teach them now.
Who is like the student of the other teacher.
No, this other guy. Like not this, because the student guy, he's a great dancer. I think he does a great job. But then this new kid, I saw him one time and I was like,
he's not that great.
Yeah, and I felt really mean saying that, but I was like, honestly, I mean, I do think I am better. Like I'm a better option, you know. I don't want to be mean and I don't want to be presumptuous, but like I don't know, no.
Right.
So then I had all these things going on where like I feel replaced, like I'm not appreciated or whatever, and I think I told you about that.
Yeah.
Right. When around the time it happened, and so. I had this whole thing of like, I'm going to this school with people that I don't know, to a class where I feel like I don't know anybody. I know that I am not at the top of my game at all.
So like, how long had it been between you like not going to classes because of the pandemic and then doing online and then not doing anything and then going back to it?
Like, from when
what's the timeline here?
Okay, so let's say pandemic started March
2019.
2020.
Yes, 2020 is a.
I know 2020 doesn't exist,
year.
But
yeah, exactly. 2020 doesn't exist.
So the pandemic starts March 2020. Yeah. I have online classes throughout the year until around October, when I fell. I stopped dancing until around February, I think.
Okay.
Probably. And I had dance classes, like, at my house, in the living room for, I don't know, February, March, April, May-ish. And then June, July, August. Well, June, July, half of August, maybe. Nothing.
Right.
And so I was thinking, okay, I'm coming from dancing in my living room to an actual studio, which is
A wild
insane.
difference?
It's a wild difference, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's mirrors, there's actual flooring, you know, like there's a marley floor rather than carpet.
It's just like a different experience.
It's built for it. Yeah, there's a lot more space, like, you know.
Not a lot of furniture.
Yeah. So I was excited because of that.
You were going to this other school.
Yeah, I was going to the other school. And that was the main thing for me. I was, okay, I'm going to this other school. And they were telling me, you know, you can go, let's say, Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Whichever class you want. It's fine. And I thought, because of the schedule that they offered me, I saw that, okay, I'm not on the top level that they're offering. And I was like, oh God, am I seriously gonna suck that bad? You know, kinda. Like, I know that
How did they decide where to put you? Did they know?
I don't know. I think it was more like, there's space here. Maybe she can come at this time. Kinda. I think it's how it went down. And maybe my teacher, who is still sort of teaching there, but not quite. It's a weird arrangement, which I think they have to sort out. But and we've talked about it, which is funny. But so she was like, you can come to this class, and because I had gone there to record a video, I knew that, I don't know, let's say 4 p.m. classes with like the babies, little kids, and then the 5:30 is with, like, I don't know, maybe teens, who are like obviously on a higher level than the little kids, and then there's like the oldest kids, the higher level kids, and because I was in like the second group, or my teacher was like, come to the second group, I was like, what? I mean, I didn't tell anything to her directly. It was more like, oh my God. Like,
was it like a self-doubt thing with yourself?
I think it was a self-doubt thing with myself. Very much like a comparison thing of like, am I going to be in the same class as these 13-year-olds who
are newer too?
Yeah.
Because how many years have you been in
dancing?
Yeah.
10 and a half.
Oh, but didn't you feel like maybe you needed to go into that class because of like the injury and everything?
Yeah, which is why I was like, don't think too much of it. So I did have this idea. Okay, like, I know I'm not at the top of my game. I know there's a lot of things that I have to work on. Especially there's regionals around October. I'm not sure when, but like my teacher was like, "Why don't you go?" And I said, "Sure, okay, I want to do that." There's so much stuff to do, but sure, I want to do that. And so for me, what I was dreading the most was like getting there, being with all these people that didn't know me, and sort of disappointing myself with my performance, for one, and then comparing myself to these other kids who I thought I was going to be with, these like 10 to 12-year-olds who, they're not bad. Like, I've seen them dancing. They're good, you know.
They don't have like as much experience.
Yeah, no, they don't. But yeah. So I was like, I don't want to be with the little kids. You know, I really don't. Like, I'm going to be, oh yeah, there's this old lady who's coming back to dance.
Old lady.
I mean, I know.
It's okay. But like, okay, so then, but you told yourself that, you know, like, chill.
I did because okay, so this was the second week. The first week I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to dance. And I even told my dad, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go dance class. And he said, okay, cool. And then I didn't go that whole week because I was thinking, no.
Because you're dreading it?
You know, like who's going to be my teacher? I was thinking, like, is my teacher going to be this guy that I criticized because I thought he was not that good? You know? And
so you didn't go that week?
Yeah, I didn't go that week. And then I was like, okay, fine, whatever, you know? And that's when I told you, like, I'm doing this, and I'm dreading it. Like, is it going to be terrible? what's the experience going to be like? Who are these people going to be? Because I feel like I don't know anybody, or I do know a few of them, but they're like the little kids that I used to teach. If I'm correct, if I'm going to the class I think I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be my students that are in class with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh no, I don't want that
Where
at all.
do you feel like that's coming from? Because I'm like, I don't know. There's like a lot of feeling in there of like, oh no, I can't be in class with my students. So like, what is that about?
Well, I think it comes from maybe a sense of authority, for one, and of when, I don't know if you ever had this experience of teaching somebody. I don't think that has been your thing.
In like dance? No. I actually dread it. Like, there's been times where, not lately, this has to be like years ago, but if like Nikki, who's another one of my best friends, and I do pole with her, or like twerk, she actually teaches twerk, or flexibility. But if it was one of her classes and like she was running late and she would like if she needed someone to like do the warm-up thing, I'd be like, no, can someone else do it? Because I feel there's this thing I have where I don't feel like I know enough. Mm-hmm. And I'm very sort of like a perfectionist in a sense. Yeah. So because I don't know, I feel like if I was like, okay, Tammy, who is another one of our friends, she is a physiotherapist. Physical therapist? Physiotherapist.
I think both are fine. I call mine physical therapist though.
Yeah.
PT.
And she knows, and plus she's like one of those fit girls that goes to the gym like a few hours a day.
Yeah.
So I feel like she knows what she's talking about. And even though like it's a little like, please. Just in the sense that it's a warm-up that I do like every week and I know how to do it and I know what it is and there's not much of a science to it. But because I don't feel like I have that sense of security in myself and the whole perfectionist thing, I feel like I can't do it. Because you know, like, I don't know if this is right.
Yes.
So I had to do that course and I used to go to a high school. And they gave me this like little group of teenagers that didn't want to go to this other thing.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun. Like that was fun. But in that case, I feel like I knew what I was talking about, you know? Mm-hmm. And I would prepare at class and things. But definitely, because like Tammy, for example, has had to teach Paul at some point or another to like help out Nikki or something. And I've never wanted to like, you know, do that because I don't feel like I know enough. So no.
That's funny. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's just like a warm up, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope. I don't know what's next. What? No.
I think for me, well, I mean, this is going a different way than we were planning.
I think we can get back to it.
But for me, teaching has been a very interesting thing where, I mean, both my parents were teachers my dad is basically a teacher. My mom was a teacher for a long time. And so they were both very helpful in a way. And I also think that because of the nature of the dancing world, I guess, you're always being taught by the oldest students. You know, and so I remember in ballet, for example, I, as a, 5-year-old, would look up to my teacher and she would be like, oh, she's an adult. But she was probably like 15 or something.
Right.
And the same happens right now too. You know, I started being a teacher when I was like around 15. Or maybe 16. I don't know.
I feel like that's a very normal thing when it comes to dancing.
Yeah. And so for me, the approach was more like, yeah, I have no idea about what I'm doing. And I'm trying to do my best. And I do know that I have come a long way in which now I like now I know about anatomy, and now I know about like different ways, like how the body works and how to teach stuff to make people understand like maybe the more complicated parts of dancing. And that perfectionism thing is more of a thing I have when I have to come up with a step or I have to come up with choreography or something like that.
Oh, don't even, like, no, I am not a fan of coming up with choreography. I don't know how people do it. I'm like, no.
So
I need my coach. I need my teacher to like give me the steps.
Oh no, I do. I also, like, when I was trying to choreograph an audition tape for dance school, I was having such a hard time. Like, I procrastinated for so long. I think I had 2 weeks to do that, and I asked for a 3rd week because I just could not. And then at the end, my teacher helped me out with a section. Like, one of my teachers helped me out with a section of it. A tap teacher who's also at our school helped me with another part as well, and a friend, because I was like, my brain is
can't do this.
Mush. Yeah. So it has been a cool thing, and I do like teaching. I think it's very rewarding. I do see the, like, you know, you see your little kids when they go to a competition and they, even if they don't win, you know,
they're just happy
if they have fun, and
it's cute.
so that's really cute. And there's this other, maybe darker side to it, which is I don't know if that happens to every teacher of everything in the world, but to me, what does happen is, like, sometimes I need to do things properly to teach them properly, you know, like, and I was talking about this with my teacher one day, and I was like, I do feel that when I am showing somebody how to do something, I need to be my best at it, you know, like, if I'm telling a kid that they need to cross their feet, I need to be doing it as well, you know, so that they see how it should be done. Not that I'm perfect or anything, but, you know,
a good standard.
Like or like turn out your feet, or, you know, don't move your arms or whatever. So I have my pet peeve maybe with this other school was that I was seeing the teachers in class with like straight feet or not crossed or like bent legs and like technique stuff that I would be like, and you're my teacher, like, honestly?
I see that.
You know? So it was that part of like, I don't want to be taught by somebody that is not doing their best.
Yeah.
And then this other part of it was like with being in class with my old student, there's this thing of what happens when your teacher who you have like up on a pedestal kinda, it's like, oh, you're just in class with me, you know, kinda. It's a weird thing that it's just, I realize that it is just in my head and I'm making this whole thing up. I know, I am aware. However, it is still there.
Okay.
So I kept thinking, I mean, my former students, or some might still be my students later on, but they're good, and I'm glad they're doing great. But I don't want to be like, on the same class. It just feels weird, like, because they're still younger. They're still like 10.
But so what is it about it that like, you're like,
it?
I feel like, is it like a proud thing?
Yeah, it probably is like a pride thing. Like, I'm too proud to be in the same class as my students.
Okay.
No.
I mean,
that's terrible.
I want to go back to like, so what happened when you went in class?
Yeah.
But
Let's
before
finish the story.
But before. Because I find it so like interesting. I feel like there's so many things going on in your dance situation, and I feel like mine is so more chill.
Yeah.
Because I've been going to pole for like sometime. Like, I don't know, because I feel like I always go and then stop going and then go back and then stop going and then go back. Because do you remember when we were doing silks together? Like, when was that?
That was like high school.
High school, okay.
Probably.
And at some point, I hadn't done pole when I lived in the preserve. So I guess when I came back from the preserve, which was 2018? No, 2016. No, 2016. Because that's when I went into college. So I guess that's when I tried a pole class. And I really liked it, so pole class became a thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, for pole, I really like it. Because I feel like it's so noticeable for me, at least, like when I'm getting better. Yeah. And maybe someone listening to this, they're like, well, that happens with like anything you do, right? But I'm like, well, it doesn't to me. Or like it didn't. Because if I used to go to like, I don't know, the gym, which has never been my thing. Like, I don't feel it in myself. Like, I don't see it. Maybe I haven't been there long enough to do so. But that's the thing. Well, with pole, I feel like it's super quick. Like, 1 week, there's a certain figure I can't do. And then next week or in a couple weeks, it's there. And I still need to perfect it and whatever. But I feel it and I see it so easily and so quickly that it kind of pumps me up. And that's part of why I like it so much. But I don't know, like also in the studio that I go to, there's no sort of like levels. Yeah. In the class, like different classes. It's the same. It's more like the different schedules, but anyone can go to the class that they can go to, you know? And there's this girl that has been going to pole for like 5 years or something. And Tammy that goes to pole with me and myself, we look at her doing stuff and we're like, why can't we do it? But then again, it's like this thing where like we have to remind ourselves that she has been going and she has been doing it for 5 or 6 years. Yeah. And Tammy just started this year. And during the pandemic, like I stopped going to pole all of 2020. Yeah. And it was until January 2021 where it's like, you know what? I'm done. Well, that's not true. Wait. In January 2021, I decided to go to the gym because gyms were open. Yeah. And the studio was open. I was just, like pandemic. No. But I decided to start going to the gym. And that lasted me like 3 months tops. Because I
mean, that's longer than when we used to go together to the gym.
That is true. I need my class. Yeah. I need my teacher. And no, I don't like the gym. Or I haven't found the right gym, I want to say. I feel like I could do the gym if I found the right one.
I think I know we're detouring again, but the gym for me has been, when we used to go like in high school or whatever, it was more like, you have to go to the gym, kind of. Or that's the way I used to see it. Like, it's the thing to do. Mm-hmm. And now I think I go with a purpose. And that changed it entirely. What kind of purpose? Like, now I know, so for example, because I have this goal of, okay, I'm going to to regionals. I was going to say Oractus, but, so there's, okay, I have to improve my stamina. I have to improve my toe height. I have to improve my whatever. So these things that I need to focus on are things that I can work at the gym because, like, it's targeting the specific muscles that I need to be using for this or that movement. And that has made a huge difference. Think of the gym. Yes. Do you know what's the thing? This last gym that I tried, which wasn't like the gym at the school kind of thing. Yeah. I don't feel like I had, it was just, like whichever guy from the gym, like that works there was around, I'd be like, so what do I do? That kind of thing. Yeah. But I never
sat down with someone and had a conversation, and they were like, okay, so what is your goal? What do you need to do?
Yeah.
Do you do other stuff that you want to work on for? You know, like, yes, I do pole and I need this. Like, I'm very good with flexibility, but I lack a lot of strength, so let's do that. You know? And I'm like, that's what I need from a gym.
I think it's so interesting because your mom is such a gym rat.
She is.
That I would imagine that.
But you know what? She doesn't go to the gym. She goes to classes.
She really?
Yes.
I kind of thought she was like the hang out of the barbell kind of person.
She also doesn't like weights and that kind of stuff. She goes to like Zumba class and this class and spinning. And she goes to the pool and aerobics and that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She doesn't actually... I think the other day she told me that she did weights, but in a class.
Wow.
So it's that kind of same thing. Yeah, so like anyways, I started the gym, lasted like 3 months, and then I was like, you know what? I want to work out. I want to exercise. It has to be, not because it has to be, although also, but because I want it to be part of my life.
Yeah.
And I miss pole, and I'm so happy when I'm there, so like I'm going to go back. I'm so done with the pandemic. Even though, you know, in the studio they had like the whole like the gel and the temperature and
the mask,
all of that stuff. Yes, which I'm so done with, but I will endure.
Oh, Jesus, I know.
So I decided to go back to pole. So I started going, I think, around March. And Jesus, the first week I couldn't get through the warm up. I couldn't. I was getting dizzy. I was like out of breath. And my teacher, who is Nikki's mom, that's the owner of the studio and has been for like, and I've, you know, known her forever, danced with her forever, and started doing pole.
Yeah.
So she was my teacher, and she's like, do you need to sit down in the middle of the warm up? And I was like, I do. It was hilarious. But then, you know, like slowly, and then she laughed at me. No, she didn't laugh at me, but like weeks later, she's like, see, now you can get through the warm up without getting dizzy. And I'm like, yay. But yeah, so it was when you first, you know, came to me about talking about this whole like getting back on the horse thing, and you're telling me about your dance experience, and I was like, you know, like, I don't feel like mine is as dramatic. Not to call yourself dramatic. That is not what I mean. But it's very chill. Like, I feel like, you know, because of how I feel about pole, there was this thing, you know, inversions. Like, you get on the pole and you try to, like, do that.
Yeah, upside down.
Yeah, exactly. You try to, yeah. Those were something that, like, they were so hard for me. And so 2019, when I was going to pole, I started like being able to do like 5 in a day, like in a session or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I can do 5 of them. So 2021, I was like, Jesus, I'm going to have to like get on that again and like work for it again because I probably lost it. And I realized that I didn't. You know, like I wasn't able to do 5 right away, but I was able to do 1, like a good one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, I was surprised. I was like, I guess it's a bit of like what
muscle memory.
Muscle memory. I was gonna say physical memory, but muscle memory. And I guess my body kind of remembered it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that is so cool that I can do them. They're still hard as fuck for me. Like whenever there's a figure that you can do either with an inversion or this other way, I always go for the other way, and Tammy always goes for the inversion. And I'm like, no, I cannot. I need to do the other one, which I should be doing the inversions because that's how you get better at them, you know, but I don't like them. They're so annoying. But yeah, so just I was surprised that, you know, I got back in 2021 and I could do the inversions, and it took me like a few classes to like get a little back in shape and stuff. But I don't know if it's because of, you know, that there's no different levels and that kind of thing that doesn't give me the space to think about all this stuff that you were thinking about with your experience.
I mean, I guess that might be a thing. And I do have this part of my maybe dance journey, I would call it.
Yeah.
Is that I had to write down the other day when I had to sign up for classes, which is something that I haven't done in years. You know, I automatically am in.
Right, because it was like the other studio with
so I had to sign up, and there was a section that was like, have you danced before? What kind of dance? How long? And I was like, okay, ballet, flamenco, and Irish dancing. For, ballet and flamenco from, I don't know, being 3 to 10 years old. And then Irish dancing from 15 until now. So a total of 15 plus years. And so the lady at the desk was like, oh, so you've danced your whole life? And I was like, yeah, basically. And so with that in mind, I had always sort of thought this thing of, I want to do something that's dance related. There was a point when we were in high school, when I was thinking, maybe I can, if I work hard, I can join a company.
Right.
I can join Riverdance.
Oh.
Because, I wasn't so much to Lord of the Dance before.
Oh, I love Lord of the Dance. I know. That's my thing.
They're pretty cool. I like them. I love that I have danced with them. That's the best thing ever.
That sounds insane.
Yeah. So, I was like, I want to join a company, and I want to go to even the Worlds, But then I got into college, and going to dance to every class was kind of impossible. I couldn't make it on time all the time. And so it started becoming a harder thing to do.
Right.
And there was even a point where I never left it entirely. I never stopped altogether, but there was a time where I knew, like, I am not at all on my best. Like, I'm seeing how all these people are improving, and I'm like on the same place. I'm stuck, stagnating. And I could see it every competition, because the first, like, all the high school years, I was like first place all the time, everywhere. And then during college, it was like no placing, 5th place, 3rd place, no more placing, and I was like, what is going on? And that was terrible. I was thinking, like, do I suck? Like, am I seriously that bad that I'm not placing anymore?
Damn. And I feel like there's, I'm seeing sort of like certain differences. Like, the fact that maybe part of this whole thing that you were having had to do with the fact that it was like a new studio and new terms and conditions, because it wasn't just like you going to your teacher's studio where it's like very familiar.
Yeah, I said to her, like, I'm not going to the comfort of class with you.
Yeah, exactly.
She was laughing at it, but I meant it.
Yeah, and for me, it's similar because it's, Susie's studio.
Yeah.
Who, like, she's the mom of my best friend that I've had since elementary.
Yeah.
And I've never gone to another pole studio, and it's just, I get that. So I think it's a little bit of like that you were put out of your comfort zone.
Oh, majorly.
Because it wasn't just going to another one, but like specifically that one with the things that it entailed.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
So yeah, and then during the pandemic, I made this pact. Sounds like a cult, but I was talking to my teacher one time, and I was like, I said, I am done with not placing. I am done with being on the same level. So we're going to make a plan. She's like, I love that attitude. And so we started, I did this challenge of, the insanity workouts with, what's this guy name? Sean T. He's a guy who's really famous because he does the insanity workouts. Well, they are a thing. You should look them up.
I know about Tabitha's, but that's all I
know. No. It's like, it is insane. It's like just basically high
insanity workouts are insane.
Yeah, insanity workouts are insane. It's like just HIIT, but it's like 30 to 35 minutes.
Okay.
And it's so intense because instead of it being like a light HIIT where you have like a minute and 15 seconds, a minute, this guy is like 5 minutes and then you rest for 30 seconds or maybe rest for a minute and then you go 5 minutes at it again. It is insane. The name says it.
It sounds like I'm not into that.
So it started being very rewarding because I was doing it with my brother and sometimes with his girlfriend. And so it was a fun thing to do. And at first we could not do it. We were like, oh my God, this is exhausting. We're dying. Because it was like plank now and like 20 push-ups and 30 jumping jacks and you know, it was insane.
Is there burpees in this?
Yeah, of course.
Oh no!
Of course there are.
You lost me at the burpee.
There's a bunch of things that I had never done until those videos. I mean, and it is cool, and you can see the progress because you measure it. Like I don't know, I think maybe we were doing like a 6-week program or something, and so you started with doing like a benchmark thing where you have a minute of like jumping and a minute of sit-ups and a minute of crunches and a minute of like these I don't know 10 exercises. And then you do it 2 weeks later and you see if you did better or not. And then in 2 more weeks and, you compare first week, second week, third week. And so it's cool. And I started doing that and because she was doing bar classes, I started doing them with her and I got into this challenge and I won the challenge, which was pretty cool. And then I fell. And so it all went straight to shit. And it went and it didn't because I was like, okay, I don't feel like I completely fell off the wagon. I feel like I'm like holding on with one arm, kind of, like I'm still going the same way, maybe just not like as steadily. So I had this motivation of like, I'm going to do better. I'm going to work harder at it. I'm going to keep improving. And then when I graduated college, I had this idea that I told you about of doing a master's in dance at the University of Limerick. And so I couldn't apply then, but I started looking into it again and I applied this year. And they accepted me and everything. But because of the pandemic again, it was like, there's no point in me attending if it's online, And so then my teacher was like, why don't you just start dancing again until you can do this? Mm-hmm. And so it became more of a possibility again and all of that. And so I was in this headspace of wanting to improve and wanting to achieve this goal. And having to do this thing that I haven't done in a very long time of like starting something new, dance related, in this new environment with new people, which felt very daunting. Especially maybe the part of like disappointing myself. And it was stupid because like I knew I sat down. Well, I sat myself down. And I was like, okay, so I know that I will not survive dancing 3 steps, for example, which is for people that don't know anything about Irish dance. Like you have to dance when you're at a certain, like when you're in the first level, so you dance 2 steps. When you're at the next level, you dance 3 steps. Sometimes, and then but whatever. It gets complicated. Basically, it's a long ass dance, right? And you end up like panting and it's like, oh my God, I survived. And everybody does that. Like it happens. Whatever. There's longer and shorter dances, but basically everybody dies on their 3rd step because it's exhausting. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I know I am not gonna survive 3 like at all. I might survive 2. 1, yeah, sure, I can do 1. And then I went to the gym one day before going to class, and I was jogging on a treadmill, and I could not, like, for the life of me, I was like, and I do think it was because of the face mask. I did give myself some, like, I want to say leeway, but it was not leeway. Like, you know, and I like, how can I not run for 3 minutes? Come on. And then I just got out of the treadmill. I was like, I'm done. And I went swimming, and in the swimming pool, I was also like, I can't do a proper lap. What is wrong with me? Mm-hmm. And then right after this, because we were doing so much stuff during that week, I was like, okay, I couldn't do, I think that was a Wednesday. And then the rest of the week, I couldn't go back to the gym or do anything. I think I just walked my dog. And then I went to class on Tuesday. And I survived.
Look at you.
I know. And I was very surprised that I was able to survive a full step. And I was not dying. And I was able to do all these things that I did not think I could do. And also the
credit
teacher,
to your body.
Yeah. Like, that was the thing, you know, what you said about the muscle memory and your body knows how to do it. That helps so much. Because, I was like, so, I had my old steps, like my old dances. But then I came in and the teacher, the guy was like, okay, so you're going to learn a new step for this. And I got introduced to the whole group, of whom I probably won't remember any names, which I feel really bad about. But some of these girls, like 3 or 4 of them, were helping me out with the first step. And I was like, okay, I got it. I think I'm good. And then I did it. And Diego, the teacher, was like, oh my God, you picked it up so quickly. That's insane. And basically, he kept praising me the entire class. And I was like, oh, you're making me feel so much better. Like, I seriously thought it was going to be terrible. I didn't tell him any of this. I just told my teacher, like, I didn't want to go. I was struggling. I was battling myself with it. You have to go. You should go. I don't want to go. But, yeah. So, I didn't want to bring it up.
But the Enneagram?
The Enneagram thing. And, no, because it was... I've been listening to Ear Biscuits, right, for a year now, basically. Less than a year?
Oh my God.
It started during it was like March in the pandemic, and it started, oh my God, wow. So anyway, and Red, for people who don't know what I'm talking about, because I think there might be people that don't know. There's this other podcast called Ear Biscuits with 2 guys that are really funny called Red and Link, and you should totally listen to it. It's amazing.
Shout out.
Yes. And Red always says that he's a performer and that he basically lives for people's praise, kind of.
Oh, yeah, because he's a 1.
Yeah. And I kind of relate to that. I relate to that so much. I feel like I'm sort of the same way.
I wonder what your Enneagram number is. I so do.
That's hilarious. We will do an episode on that.
We will. I feel like we should do, you know, like the vlog episode where we like all do it.
Yeah.
But then have a cup of tea about yours and mine.
This is turning into a production meeting, but sure.
This is how the creative process works, people.
So anyway, I was feeling really good about myself with oh my God, your brain. Like he said this thing that I was laughing. He said, I don't know how your brain works, but it's fantastic. You picked everything up so quickly. And then this other thing was like, you danced so beautifully. And I was like, oh, thank you. Because I'm going to probably sound like a presumptuous bitch, but because I have heard that, like, many people have told me that, like, you dance, like, your dancing is so beautiful and all that stuff, and I never believe them. I'm always like, I don't even. Yeah, but I get that a lot.
So now do you believe it?
No.
What?
The thing is, I see my dancing, and there's stuff that I like, but there's other things like, I could have done that so much better, and that was terrible. And,
I feel like that is so normal. Like,
so I know that it's a thing, but anyway. So yeah, the moral of the story was that it turned out to be great, and I even told you, like, I sent you a message that was like, it was totally the right thing to do to return to class.
There we go.
Because it was amazing, and not just because of getting praised,
which is nice.
Which is really nice, but because it was just fun, and because
it
was. Although I am at physical therapy because I overdid it.
Of course you did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun, and it was like I am returning to one of the two things that I always say, and I think that it's true, that I like the most in life, which are dancing and filmy stuff.
Like this.
Yes. So yeah, I'm happy about returning to dance. It's been fun. It's been challenging, but it's been also, how this thing that you said that you can see your progress?
Yeah.
I also feel really good about myself that I am not as bad as I thought I was going to be.
I mean, you were really tough on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I am. Hey,
but it's nice, like you got sure, but at the same time, are you being empathetic with yourself?
No.
Where it's like, like I went through all of this. It's okay if I'm not at my best. I'll get there again. The kind of thing.
That has been a thing in therapy.
You've learned?
Yes, I have been kinder to myself. Has been
very, very proud of you for that.
Yes. So yeah, if you people out there listening to a cup of tea, sharing a cup of tea with us, just do it if you have something like this, especially right now with the pandemic and all, because I think that's a very ubiquitous thing where a lot of people stop doing something. I mean, there's of course a lot of people picked up things that they wanted to do, like right. I know, like the sourdough craze and that kind of thing. But I guess like when you're scared to go back into something you like, I think it's a no-brainer, even though our brains might say otherwise.
Yeah, I hear that, because it's I mean, I wasn't scared to go back, but I have definitely had that conversation in my mind of like doing something but not doing it, that kind of thing, and it's always just like, stop arguing with yourself. That's where you're wasting time.
Yeah, you
should just like not think about it. Just do it. Just get up and do it.
Yeah, Nike's got something right.
Yeah, they did. I didn't want to say that it was theirs, but sure. I mean, technically it is. But it is such a good sort of like mantra to live by.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I wonder like what people's experience with dance is in this kind of like back and forth, or even what has dance been like now that we've lived through this pandemic. Let us know.
Yeah, we should have a hashtag. I don't know what we think. See, production meeting again. Hashtag a cup of tea.
Yes. Do it.
Yeah, tell us about your experiences. Tell us if you have come back to something that you were, because somebody told me this the other day, that they had this like childhood activity that they had, and they had just gone back to it.
And they were so happy?
Yeah, they were super excited about it.
That sounds really nice.
So, do it, people. Just do it. It's amazing.
I'm glad that was your experience. What are we recommending?
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing.
I feel like we could recommend Ear Biscuits.
Yeah, that's totally the recommendation. Listen to Ear Biscuits. It's amazing. I guarantee you will have a laugh. I mean, it depends on the episode. I will say that.
It does?
I mean, there are some episodes that are kind of heavy. Like,
I have not come across them.
When I started listening, and why I got into it was because my brother showed me they did this series. I think, what did they call it? The Lost Year series or something like that, where they talk about what it was like for them to leave Christianity because they used to be evangelical Christians.
Wow.
And then they weren't anymore. Mm-hmm. And so they talked about each of their personal journeys with that.
So that one was more of a heavier episode?
Yeah, so that was a hevier episode. I would say most episodes are really light, really funny. Yeah. I love their intro, which is the two lifelong friends talking about life for a long time thing.
You do.
I think it's a very accurate thing.
Yeah.
They talk about pretty much anything, I would say. Yeah. So yeah, listen to that one. Tell us what you think. Because, I just thought about this, but because they have a new heavy episode. My brother was asking me about it because I thought it was really interesting that Link went back. Like, they both went back home. Like, okay, they live in LA. They went back home to North Carolina. And Link had this very, I would say, tense trip, like very emotionally intense sort of thing. And he's telling the whole story of how it went. And it's not, it's not a funny episode. It's not a...
I'm intrigued. Are you intrigued? I'm intrigued.
So yeah, listen to Ear Biscuits.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're an inspiration for us.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And we will talk at you next week.
We don't talk at them.
We don't talk to them.
Don't we? Isn't that what we're doing?
We'll talk to you next week. I don't know. Tell us what we're doing.
Sure. Jump in the conversation.
# a cup of tea.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.